You check your phone, not because you're expecting a message, because you need to know where you stand. You replay what you said in the conversation, and you wonder if it landed right. You analyze their tone, you read the response 3 times, looking for the thing that's underneath the thing. And when they finally respond warmly, when they approve, something in you relaxes, something that you didn't even realize was tense. That relief, that exhale, that quiet flood of, okay, I'm okay now. That's not connection. That is your nervous system that has outsourced its sense of safety to someone else. And I need to say something to you that nobody else is probably saying out loud. When your okayness depends on whether someone else approves of you, you're not in a relationship, you're in an audition, and you have been performing for an audience that was never qualified to judge you in the first place. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and today we're talking about something that is underneath almost every painful relationship pattern I see. The need for external approval to feel okay about yourself, where it comes from, what it's actually costing you, and the 2 specific things you can be doing right now to start taking your power back. Because here's the truth that feminine energy teaches and clinical psychology agrees on. A woman who requires someone else's approval to feel good about herself is a woman who has temporarily forgotten who she is. So let's remember that together. Also, everything I say here today is for educational purposes. I'm a licensed therapist, but not your therapist. If you're in crisis, please call or text 988. So let's name what we're actually talking about. Because approval seeking is not the same as caring what people think. Caring what people think is human, healthy even. Approval seeking is something different. Approval seeking is when your internal sense of worth, your feeling of being okay, being good enough, being lovable, is contingent on external confirmation. It means you can't fully relax until someone has signaled that you're acceptable. It means that your mood follows their mood. Your confidence rises and falls with their warmth or their distance. Your sense of yourself is determined by how they're treating you today. And here's what makes this so insidious. It can look like love from the outside. It looks like attentiveness, consideration, being deeply in tune with another person. But underneath it is something closer to fear. The fear that without their approval, you're not quite enough. And that fear did not start with them. You were not born needing someone else's approval to feel whole. That need was installed, and anything that was installed can be uninstalled. Approval seeking almost always traces back to one of 2 places. The first is conditional love and early attachment. If the love you experienced growing up was contingent on your behavior, your performance, your emotional presentation, your achievements, whether sports or grades, your nervous system learned something very specific. It learned that love is not freely given, it's earned. And once a nervous system learns that love must be earned, it spends the rest of its life in a constant low-grade audition, always performing, always monitoring, always slightly uncertain whether you've done enough to deserve the warmth you need. This is not a character flaw. This is an adaptation. Your nervous system did exactly what it was supposed to do. It learned the rules of the environment, and it just built a strategy to survive. The problem is you are no longer in that environment, but your nervous system has not gotten the memo. The second is a relationship that eroded your self-trust. If you've been in a relationship, romantic, friendship, family, where your perceptions were consistently questioned, where your reality was regularly rewritten, where your feelings were minimized or dismissed, you begin to lose confidence in your own internal experience. And when you stop trusting yourself, you start over-relying on external sources to tell you what's real, what is acceptable, whether you're okay. Gaslighting does not just make you doubt the other person, it makes you doubt yourself. And that self-doubt creates a gap, a vacuum, that approval seeking rushes in to fill. So the woman who needs his approval, she's not weak. She's a woman whose internal compass was interfered with. The work is not becoming someone who doesn't care. The work is recalibrating the compass so that you can trust it again. So I want to be direct with you here because I think this part matters. This is costing you your authenticity. When your sense of worth depends on someone else's approval, you begin unconsciously to edit yourself. You soften your opinions, you adjust your preferences, you present the version of yourself most likely to be received well. And over time, you lose touch with who you actually are underneath all of it. It's also costing you your standards. A woman who needs approval stays in situations that she should leave. She tolerates behavior she shouldn't be tolerating. She gives chances that have not been earned because leaving, it feels like losing the sense of her okayness. It's also costing you your power. Real feminine power, the kind that is magnetic, that draws the right things in, that operates from a place of deep self-knowing. It can't coexist with approval seeking. They're incompatible energies. And you cannot be fully in your power while simultaneously waiting to find out if someone thinks that you're worthy of it. So, what can you do? So, I have 2 actionable steps that I'd like you to consider adopting to see if it can move the needle for you. The first is to build an internal approval practice. So, every morning before you look at your phone, before you check your messages, I want you to take 60 seconds and I want you to give yourself the approval that you normally seek externally. So it could be related to maybe how you feel about how you look. It could be related to how you felt you parented. It could be related to any number of things, but I want you to ask yourself, what do I actually think about how I handled yesterday? So I don't want you to think about what do they think or if they would be proud. I want you to think about how you feel. What's your honest internal assessment? And then I want you to answer it. Out loud would be great, or you can write it down if it feels easier. And this practice does something very specific over time. It builds the neural pathway of consulting yourself first, of making your own assessment the primary data point rather than the secondary one. So you're not cutting other people out, you're putting yourself back in the conversation. Start with 60 seconds. Do it every morning for 2 weeks and notice if that shifts anything for you. The second practice is completing an action without seeking confirmation. So pick one small thing this week, a decision, a creative project, an opinion, a preference, and complete it without checking in with anyone to validate it. Do not ask, does this look right? Do not send the screenshot for feedback. Do not frame your decision as a question looking for agreement. Decide, act, let it be complete. And then sit with that discomfort of not knowing what someone else thinks about it. That discomfort is important. It's the feeling of your nervous system recalibrating, of learning that it can tolerate uncertainty without collapsing, of discovering that your action was complete before anyone else weighed in on it. And this is not about becoming someone who doesn't value other people's perspectives. It's about becoming someone whose foundation does not require them. You don't need his approval. You never did. You need your own. And somewhere along the way, you forgot that it was yours to give. So I want you to ask yourself something real. Whose approval have you been seeking that you know in your gut you will never actually receive? Or that you have been receiving, but it's never been really enough? Tell me in the comments. You don't have to use names. Use one sentence. Because you know what? Taking a moment to name this can be a very powerful first action step with taking your power back. So if this gave you something today, if even one line landed somewhere it needed to land, subscribe. Every Thursday I show up with clinical truth delivered like your most honest and most stylish friend. No performance, no softening, just the real thing. And if you're ready to go deeper into understanding your patterns and relationships, my Trauma Bond Recovery Workbook is linked in the description. It's clinical tools, it's real insight, it's built for women who are done shrinking. Because you are never the problem. See you Thursday.